Thank you very much for inviting me to this webinar. I'm looking very much forward to our common discussions. Well, a little week ago, representatives of the US government walked around in Greenland's capital, Nuuk. They were ringing doorbells and knocking on door after door, asking the inhabitants, "Do you want a visit from the American vice president's wife?" Everywhere the answer was the same: no, thank you. I start with this small, but in my opinion, significant observation, because it shows very concretely the enormous pressure which the American administration is exercising, and it shows the sentiments of the people of Greenland. As you probably know, the Trump administration had to change their plans on the visit. Several demonstrations were announced in advance, so it ended up with a spectacular visit Friday on the Pitofik space base by J.D. Vance. The fact is that in recent months, the almost 57,000 Greenlanders and their large island are being turned into a bargaining chip, a pawn that they are tried to be moved around at will on the great chessboard of imperialism. Trump has repeatedly stated that the US wants the control and to own Greenland, even if necessary by military means. These statements are part of US imperialism's desperate attempt to maintain its declining political and economic power. And it is, and I agree, a kind of Monroe Doctrine 2.0, where the US controls the Western Hemisphere, or a return to the so-called Manifest Destiny Doctrine, the idea that the US has a fated, God-given duty to expand across the entire North American continent. In his inaugural address, Trump, in fact, referred directly to this doctrine. When it comes to Greenland, the Trump administration and the MAGA movement are now cynically exploiting the desire of the Greenlandic people, the Inuits, for definitively freeing themselves from Danish colonial rule. But just because the Greenlandic people want independence from Danish Empire, this does not mean that they want to instead be colonized by the US Empire. A survey commissioned in January this year showed only 6% of Greenlanders to be in favor of their island becoming part of the US. This sentiment has not changed in recent days. On the contrary, large parts of the Greenlandic population have spoken out openly against the US and Donald Trump. For instance, through a demonstration in Nuuk on March 15, a very big demonstration if you compare to the size of the population. Likewise, the chairman of all five parties elected to the Greenlandic Parliament, have issued a common statement protesting against the reiterated desire for annexation and control of Greenland from the side of the US. So the opposition to American imperialism is solid. Let me say a few words about Greenland. Well, you know, Greenland is located in the Arctic area, and it is the largest island in the world. It was for centuries a Danish colony, but in 2009, it achieved a so-called self-government agreement. And at that occasion, Denmark officially recognized that the Greenlandic people is a people in its own rights under international law. The self-government status means that the Greenlanders now own the rights to the Greenland subsoil and the minerals and the values found there. But their foreign defense and security policies are decided upon in Denmark. Therefore, Greenland is considered NATO territory. Worth mentioning is also that Greenland is not a member of the European Union. In 1982, the Greenlandic people, through a referendum, voted to leave the European Union. And Greenland today belongs to the EU overseas countries and territories. During and after the years of the World War II, the Danish governments, mainly presided by Social Democrats, through secret agreements sold out Greenland to American imperialism. The Defense Agreement of 1951 is part of this policy. Thus, the USA has for decades several military facilities in Greenland. And the history of these facilities include forced evictions of Inuit families in 1953, the crash of an American B-52 plane carrying 4 atomic bombs in 1968, and other detriments to the local population. So why does imperialism want control over Greenland? I think there are two main reasons. Firstly, Greenland's military and security policy geographical position near the Arctic. A militarized and rearmed Greenland is intended to be an advanced base against both Russia and China. Likewise, control of the sea routes to the north, the Northeast Passage, is becoming increasingly important as climate change takes hold. Secondly, Greenland's resource-rich subsurface, especially the existence of rare and strategic earths and minerals. Greenland possesses at least 25 of the 34 minerals which the European Commission has designated as critical raw materials. It is, for instance, rare earths, copper, nickel, zinc, diamonds, iron ore, titanium, you name it, uranium. And Trump wants US companies, many of which have invested heavily in his re-election, to have unfettered access to the Greenlands and to the minerals deposit resources. Besides the prospect of super profits, keeping socialist China far away from Greenland is a strategic goal for both the US and Denmark. What position does Greenland take in this complicated situation? Well, for long now, independence has been on top of the agenda. A procedure for independence from Denmark exists, and a commission has elaborated a draft constitution for an independent Greenland. It is a very progressive draft constitution based on Greenlandic culture, language, and identity. Nature and collective rights play a significant role. The draft foresees Greenland to cooperate with other countries to exploit its resources, but not at any cost. It should be done in a way, and I quote, without harming the health of the population and in a responsible manner with regard to safety, the environment, resource utilization, and social sustainability, end of quote. Last year, the former government of Greenland published for the first time ever a foreign defense and security policy strategy. Here, Greenland announces that it intends to take responsibility for a more peaceful world, not only in Greenland. Likewise, Greenland wants to establish trade relations with as many countries as possible so that it doesn't put all eggs in one basket and become vulnerable. The paper names some of the countries with which Greenland will strengthen its trade relations in the coming years, and I quote, China, Japan, Korea, India, United States, Canada, European Union, and the UK. So this is quite another strategy. As you probably know, a new government was formed only hours before the visit of J.D. Vance on Friday. Four parties went into a coalition, a kind of a national coalition government, to defend Greenland in the turmoil it lives. It is too soon to say to what degree it will stand up to the pressure from Washington and Copenhagen. But the new Prime Minister of Greenland put it this way: we have to hurry slowly towards independence. To hurry slowly towards independence. Because if you hurry too much, you fall into the American trap, would I say. I will end up with some words about the Danish government and its position. In short, the ruling classes of Denmark are interested first and foremost in maintaining good relations with American imperialism. Denmark is not only a founding member of NATO, but also very close to the US-led inner core of Western imperialism today. Now we see an attack being made not only on the sovereignty of Greenland, but also on the Danish Royal Federation, a NATO ally. It is unprecedented, and it asks for the Danish government to defend its people and the Greenlandic people. But let's not be too optimistic about that. On Friday night, the Danish foreign minister delivered a message to the American people. Here he criticized the tone of the Trump administration, the tone. And then he continued, and I quote, "We respect that the United States of America needs a greater military presence in Greenland." End of quote. Need more to be said.
I'm Michael Hudson. I'm appearing here for the International Manifesto Group. If you like this video and ones like it, please subscribe. For more information, go to the address on the screen.